Hello and welcome. My name is Vanessa Ortali. I am the founder of the Ladies Community and Heart and Mind Talks. Today, I have Craig Ballantyne with me for the One Online Summit. And the theme of the summit is one with self, one with purpose, one with others. Craig's video is not working, so you can see his little, is it a Bitmoji? What is this? Like a
It's a
character?
drawing.
A
It's a
drawing.
drawing. A facsimile of me. And
Right? Yeah,
yeah,
it's pretty good. It looks
yeah, we
like
had
you.
this done for my entrepreneur.com and Forbes articles and stuff like that. So it'll have to do.
No worries. Well, thanks so much for making the time to chat with the community, Craig, and bringing yourself here today. I
Yeah, it's
appreciate
gonna be
it.
a lot of fun. Really enjoy it. Always,
Yeah,
always love talking to you, Vanessa.
thank you. And Craig, honestly, he's one of my mentors, and he is one of the most kind and giving and connected person I know. You see him on Instagram and on social media, and he does a great job. But what I also want to show you in this interview today is Craig is also so much more than that. You'll see in how he talks, and he's just effortless in his connection and how he continues to be of service. And so I wanted to bring him on today to chat with you about how he found his purpose, how he transitioned from the fitness community into becoming a coach, and how the principles and tools he coaches millionaires and people with 7-figure, 6-figure businesses that are doing amazing work serving others, how he helps them be of service, share their purpose, and connect with others. So we're going to start with Craig. I know you started in the fitness industry. Can you bring us back to all the way back then, years and years ago? How did you start in the fitness industry and that being your initial purpose when you started out in business?
Yeah, I originally started out, and thank you for the kind words, first of all, but I originally started out with a selfish way of doing things. I wanted to be in the pros, as a strength and conditioning coach. And so I wanted to go and get a career for me. But fortunately, when I was 25 years old, I stumbled into the opportunity of writing for Men's Health magazine. I realized who I wanted to help, the busy guy, which then turned into the busy guys and gals. And so I started creating fitness programs, online videos, all that sort of stuff, putting YouTube videos up in 2007. So way back in the day. And that's how I got into it, by going in selfish, but then I realized that the greater opportunity was in helping other people transform their lives physically, financially, mentally, and emotionally, is where I am today.
How did you make that switch to not make it about you?
I think that I quickly realized that the being about me approach in life did not actually get you very far, and it kind of left you isolated and often struggling. You didn't know where to go. You had no one to turn to. And so if you were trying to do everything for yourself, people would kind of get an idea that that's how you were. And then also, you just find things so much more fulfilling when you turn it around and go, instead of like, hey, how can I go out and get some money today? How can I go out and help a whole bunch of people? That's why I've written my books, and that's why I do my Instagram the way that I do it, which is very different than what most people teach, and why I have 2 podcasts, and I been interviewed on podcasts 400 times and put so much free content out there. Because at the end of the day, if you go and help a whole bunch of people, there's no way that you're not going to do really well in the long run too.
Yeah, and it's so obvious. People can feel it and hear it with Craig, and his business is just a reflection of that. So how did you know that you wanted to, quote unquote, change your purpose, kind of? I mean, your purpose is always being of service. So let's change the question. How did you know that you wanted to be of service to people in a different way and start coaching and move out of the fitness industry?
It's a great question. So I'm going to go all the way back to when I was 4 years old. When I was 4 years old, I was driving home from the city. I lived on the outside of a city on a farm, and we were driving home from the city, and I was with my mom, and she was driving this big old green car, and I'm sitting there in the passenger seat. And this is 1979. So there's, no seatbelt and a 4-year-old in the passenger seat in the front. That's the way it was back then. And I looked over and I realized she was sad. And I thought, mommy, why are you sad? And she said, because I didn't have the results in her Weight Watchers transformation or weight loss thing. And I realized at that moment, I never wanted people to feel that way. And so even when I was in high school, I would see people trying all these things to lose weight. And I was kind of really into fitness. And I thought, I just want to show people the shortcut the real shortcut, the real answers. And whether it was fitness or whether it was investing in real estate or whether it was making money on the internet eventually, whatever it was, I just want to show people the true, simplest, honest path to getting there. And yeah, it's probably going to require hard work, and it's going to require you doing different things than what you're doing now, getting outside your comfort zone. But that's what I dedicated myself to. And I never really wanted to do just the fitness stuff. I wanted to help people on a more holistic level. And by that, I mean with their finances and their fitness and then their family and all that sort of stuff, and just help them have more time for what matters in life. And then when I was going through the fitness stuff, people would come to me and ask me, well, how did you grow this business? And so I started teaching on it. And then how do you get so much done? And I started teaching on that. And the next thing you know, I'm teaching on all of these things. And it was a natural but slow progression. And it is not something that required any permission from anybody else. I don't have any coaching certifications other than 20 years of running 7-figure businesses. And so to me, if you're waiting on somebody else, like you're waiting for permission, if that's the wall that you think you have to climb before you can get to where the grass is greener, it is false. And you can go and do whatever you want right now, provided that you provide more value than people give you in return. So that's the most important thing for people to understand. And then also understand that you can, if you qualify, do anything that you want. And it's going to take a lot of hard work, but you can and go and achieve it.
Yeah. And I know you may not have always felt that way. If people have read your books, they know that you also battled with anxiety and different emotional barriers and blocks. Tell us a little bit more about that and what that was like for you at that time and where your mindset was at.
Well, I think it was just because I kept a lot of stuff bottled up inside. So, I'm very much like a lot of guys who, well, was very much like, and, just didn't share a lot of stuff. I was introverted by nature, a little socially anxious, a little bit of a binge drinker, and all that stuff. Plus, I was a type A and still am a type A person where nothing can possibly happen fast enough. Nothing, absolutely nothing can happen fast enough. I want the results yesterday. I want to skip to the ending. I'm always thinking about what's next. And so all of that stuff combined just led to actually severe, severe anxiety attacks, plus partying and drinking and not resting enough and working all the time. So you put all 19 of those things in a blender and it's going to blow up on you, which it did. So, I'm 30 years old. That's when that happened to me. It was traumatic at the time for a couple bouts of 6 weeks each over a 6-month period. But then I got a whole bunch of tools in my toolbox, so much stuff that you and your other experts are teaching on this summit, so that now I don't ever have to deal with that stuff. I've got it totally under control. And you can give me all of the stress and anxiety in the world, and I wouldn't have an actual anxiety attack because of the tools that I've built in my toolbox, such as breathing, such as yoga, such as journaling, such as sharing with other people, such as having better relationships, and all that stuff has allowed me to overcome that. And so if anybody's dealing with that, I can say to you, no matter what you're feeling right now, and I know how bad it can feel, that you will be okay in the long run, provided that you put yourself into doing some difficult work, making some changes, and never ever giving up, because you can get back to, quote unquote normal in due time.
So back then when you were experiencing these anxiety attacks, you were working in the fitness industry.
Yeah, that's the funny thing is that
Yeah.
I was actually in amazing shape. I was like in cover model shape, 6-pack abs, 190 pounds, and 5'9", just totally magazine ready. And at the same time, though, that just shows you that you can be super fit, and anxiety doesn't care how fit you are, it doesn't care how old you are, it doesn't care what is going on in the rest of your life. If it's going to hit you, it's going to hit you. And so exercise alone, nutrition alone will not solve it. But at the same time, I was living this hypocritical lifestyle where I was a good boy 6 days a week, but drinking all the time for 12 hours on Saturday, which then led to the anxiety attack. So part of it, that's part of it contributed, feeling hypocritical at times. And so that was obviously a young person's mistake, quote unquote young person at 30. I should have known better, but you make those mistakes and you learn from them. I've written books, one entire book about it, plus stories of that stuff in multiple other books. talked about it on stage in front of thousands of people, done YouTube videos on it. I don't care about it. No, it doesn't bother me. I'm not worried about someone making fun of me or anything, because it's more important to me to go out and show somebody like, hey, if you're struggling with any of this stuff, you can overcome it.
Yeah, Craig, anything that you think would be embarrassing, Craig wants to show. He even showed on Instagram and all of his social when he recently got plugs in his hair, because he wants you to
Twice.
see twice. Yes,
Yes. Let it be
it's
known.
true.
If people
Yeah.
don't notice that I have a hair transplant, I want my money back. But people do notice, and it's turned out very well. It's
Yeah.
a very fascinating process. It's so
Yeah.
interesting that it's hard not to share.
Yeah. And that's where, even when you were talking earlier about doing Instagram and social media different, that's what he tries to do. He tries to be authentic, but give value. And he stays
I
so
don't know how to
consistent to
not
that
be
brand.
authentic.
Yeah.
Like when people say like I'm going to be authentic, like what is your alternative? I don't even get it. Like I'm
I
a
think
dork,
I
and I
think
don't
it's
think
fear.
I could
Yeah.
not possibly hide, how much of a dork I am. So
Yeah.
like good luck if you think that you're going to be inauthentic on Instagram. If you're an
Yeah.
idiot, you're going to be an idiot on Instagram. Which what
Yeah.
people are like, well, that person is not authentic. No, they're just an
Yeah.
idiot. It's not that they're not
Yeah.
authentic. They're authentically an idiot.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
So
then what do you say to people when they come to you about on Instagram and they're saying, I'm having fear showing up? If their fear and insecurities are getting in the way,
oh yeah,
what do
yeah.
you
Then you're
tell them?
just being like so boring, and like you're
Yeah.
wondering why no one's looking at your stuff, and it's because like, geez, nobody wants to see another picture of a latte on a desk. I mean, every single female influencer, guru, wannabe. I know I'm gonna get like hate mail on this, but I mean, enough already. Nobody needs to see that, and there adds no value to anybody's life. I mean, it's so much more valuable. I was watching a Marie Forleo video the other day, her like breakdancing in a back alley. Like that's Instagram. That's what Instagram should be, and not pictures of latte art or another freaking acai berry bowl. Like, yes, you can make very pretty bowls, but no one cares. No one cares. That's not going to stop somebody when they're scrolling. If you're dancing in a back alley, well, you know what? I'm going to at least give you a second of my attention. So that's what people need to understand about Instagram. And also, you need to have good copywriting on Instagram these days. If we put a video up and it doesn't have a good, we put almost all videos up now. And if we put obviously the title bars over top, and if we don't have good copywriting in our title bars, we're not getting as many views as if we have good copywriting in our title bars. So you need to have that skill set if you want to stand out as well.
Yeah, it's so important to integrate that into the business, especially because now all of these people want to be entrepreneurs and live their purpose. I'm sure you see a lot of them, you coach a lot of them. What are the biggest tips you can give an entrepreneur who wants to live their purpose and is just in the beginning of that journey?
I would say that you need to understand that as long as you are the one-eyed woman in the land of the blind, you're going to be okay. And what that means is you might be thinking, oh, who am I to go out and do X, Y, Z, ABC, 1, 2, 3, whatever it is. Listen, you know more than somebody else. And so you should go out and try and sell your thing so that you can generate income into your business, which then allows you to invest in more resources, whether it's a virtual assistant, whether it's advertising, whatever it is. That's how business works. And if you're not going to run this thing like a business where you're selling 80% of the time until you hit your first $1 million, then you are unfortunately going to be stuck behind the 8 ball for a long time, wondering when is this rocket ship going to take off? So you really, really, really have to commit to selling, persuading people to take action, to join your movement. Vanessa, you had to sell a whole bunch of people into being interviewed for this thing. Then you had to sell a whole bunch of people into listening to this and to doing everything that would get them into a really amazing movement that you're starting. But if you just put a couple of interviews up on the internet and didn't go and persuade people to come and listen to them, no one would listen to them. So you have to understand that that is a very important part of business, and you can't shy away from it. And you need to be loud and proud of what you're good at and how you can help people and be okay with that. And if some person that you went to school with in 7th grade sends you a comment and it's like, oh, I don't like you anymore, that you haven't seen in 20 years, like you got to be okay with that and realize that for every time you get one of those little negative comments, there's 1,000 people who are like, oh, this was really helpful, but won't say it. Because when was the last time anybody listening to this went and actually left a review on Amazon of their favorite book? Most people don't do that, but people are very quick to criticize. So you have to, like, publicly. So you have to understand that every time you do get a criticism, there's 1,000 people who do like your stuff, or 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 people or more that just are like, oh, well, they already know that they're good, so I don't need to write a comment or leave a comment here. So just remember that. And everybody listening, go leave a review on Amazon for one of your favorite books.
Yeah.
It's good karma.
Yeah.
Good karma.
Totally. That is one thing that I didn't do in the beginning of my business, and Craig taught me, is focusing on sales 80% of the time. Because if you're not, you will have no money, and you'll be one of those entrepreneurs just pursuing their passion and not actually making money. But if you need to make money, and you can't be ashamed of that, in order to be of service, in order to make a difference, and in order to help other people.
Yeah, I mean, Oprah's a billionaire.
Yeah.
She didn't get that
Yeah.
way by not selling stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Why do you think what you teach about productivity, scheduling, planning is so important for entrepreneurs and just people in general, in order for them to live their purpose and to connect with others?
Well, listen, if you aren't productive, you're not going to get the most important stuff done. And unfortunately, too many people are easily influenced by all these articles and ideas, and the good feelings they get from the stuff, the fluff of the morning routines. And I get it. Yoga, meditation, I do those things, but I don't do them until work has been done. And so I teach, and I'm sure my message is maybe not the right one for your audience. Maybe it'll fall on deaf ears, but I encourage everyone to get up and go to work immediately, first thing in the morning, before you do anything. I know you can do it. I know you don't need to journal to get yourself in the mindset of creating a video or writing a script. You don't. And so if you feel like, I'm just not getting enough stuff done, I'm not getting ahead in my business, I'm not getting the content out there, I don't understand how Vanessa does it. She's able to do these, this telesummit thing. I don't understand how she was able to do it. Where does she find the time? And the answer is, Vanessa doesn't find the time. She makes the time. And she makes the time by knowing herself. And that's really key. Know yourself and know when you're going to work best, and then fit that important work in those blocks. But again, sometimes you have to go to extremes. And if you don't know yourself, you have to do what I call a time journal. It's very simple. You just write down what you're doing over the course of the day, and you figure out when you're most productive, and you stick your most important work in there, and you don't do anything else. But you'll also have to realize, like, okay, if I'm getting up and I'm doing yoga and meditation and gratitude journaling, I'm watching a couple videos on YouTube, then I'm listening to Marie's podcast and all this stuff. The next thing you know, it's 8:30 in the morning. You've been up since 6. And you're like, oh, now I should probably, get ready for work. And then it's 10 o'clock by the time you do all that stuff and have breakfast. And then you're like, oh, I really want to get done work at 4 o'clock today. Well, now you got 6 hours, and you're probably going to take an hour lunch to go get a smoothie bowl or something. Well, you know what? I'm being a little bit facetious, but I see this all the time, and people are just not being ruthless enough with their time. All that stuff is good and it's fine, but it should be like a reward, like a kid gets candy after they've done their homework or whatever, however people raise their kids these days. But, you need to do the work. And I challenge somebody, like, you know what, for the next 30 days, I'm going to get up and I'm going to work on my number one priority in my business for 30 minutes every day. And I'm going to see how my life changes. And I guarantee it'll change for the better.
Yeah, I think people just get stuck in this analysis paralysis. And like you're saying, 2-3 hours goes by and they haven't done anything. And execution is so important. And oftentimes, if you're able to get a few wins in the morning and actually get stuff done, it'll make you more confident. And then it'll enable you to actually be able to get stuff done and move your business forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just give something. If it's like anything in life, and it's like advice we've all given to our friends, it's like if ever, the person listening to this is in a great relationship and they see one of their friends who's always dating the wrong people. And it's like, okay, well, you're always going to the same bars. Why don't you try something different? We'll give that advice all day long. But when it comes to ourselves, like if you're not getting results in the gym and you keep on doing the same thing, well, you're not going to get better results. If you keep on doing the same thing in your business and in your day to day, and you're like, I don't know why I'm not getting better results, you have to change something.
Yeah. Yeah. And try it out, figure out what's right for you and move forward. What are the most common questions you're being asked by seven-figure CEOs right now?
Oh, yeah. It's all about leadership, right? So it's all
Mm,
about, when is it the right time to let somebody go? How do you manage people? How do you manage your teams virtually, in person? How often do you meet with them? How do you get them to perform better? How do you get them to do things as good as me? That sort of, like, and I don't mean me, I mean like the
yep.
entrepreneur saying, how can I get somebody to do this as good as me? How can I let go of my control? Um, you know, analness, where they have to have everything done exactly their way. And so I spend most of the time with people who have conquered the sales issue, focusing then on the people issue. And I had a really cool little story to share with you. I had a client of mine, she's an F-45 owner in Sydney, Australia, and she thought her best employee was this girl, we'll call her Mary. She thought Mary was her best employee. And then she made a few changes in her business, and Mary decided to quit because she didn't like the changes in the business. She actually got kind of grumpy about it, and everybody thinks, oh my gosh, what if this person leaves? But you know what, in this case, it actually turned out to be the best thing, because this new person that came on and replaced Mary is more effective, it has a better attitude, all this sort of stuff. And so if you think that you won't go out there and find somebody better, it's like that friend of yours that has the boyfriend who treats her poorly, and you're like, you're gonna find somebody better. She's like, no, I'll never find anybody better than him. And the truth is, you'll always find somebody better. Every single person in your business, including yourself, is replaceable and should be replaced. You should be working every single day to replace yourself. And you're not the best at 90% of the things that need to be done in your business, probably 95%. And you should only be doing the stuff where you are absolutely 100% the best and only you can do it. I call that being the Oprah of your business, the superstar of your business. And then what you do, you need to dedicate yourself to finding people and bringing them into your business, whether it's contract workers, whether it's actual full-time employees. You need to bring in people who are better than you and coach them to be better than you, because they can be better than you. And I have a great example. Like, I just wrote a new book. It's called The Perfect Week Formula. Everyone says it's my best book, and I didn't write the book. A 23-year-old who I've been training for a year to write in my voice wrote the book. I didn't have to spend more than 10 hours, and he wrote it all in hundreds of hours, and it's the best book. So you can replace yourself. You can replace yourself in life. And so that's super important to do and always be thinking about. And Steve Jobs had this really great quote. He said, we don't hire great people to tell them what to do. We hire great people so that they tell us what to do. And that's the mindset you must have if you want to go. This is particular if you from like $1 million to 10 to 100. You need to not be doing this, and you need to be the person coaching the other people to do this stuff.
Yeah, totally. It almost sounds like the beginning is you figuring out your own processes, sales, and then you get the money to be able to hire other people. But also, hiring people earlier is often an option before we think we can get there.
I would say so. And so the cool thing is that, I've mentioned this name to you, and your friend Shanda knows this woman, Sarah Blakely, right? So you would love to get Sarah Blakely as a coach, as most people would.
Totally.
And so, so Jesse Itzler, her husband, is a billionaire as well. And Jesse Itzler says, I'm sure he's a little bit biased, but he says Sarah Blakely is the best entrepreneur he's ever met. And if you look at Sarah Blakely's story, she's one of the few entrepreneurs that didn't come from kind of like a messed up home. But it was really cool. Like, her dad at the dinner table would encourage everybody to share their failures and what they learned from them. But anyway, Sarah Blakely, when she started Spanx, she started this all on her own, and she was hustling, right? She was going into the stores, every single store, and she was selling her wares. And that's how she got to her first 7 figures. And then she started bringing other people on and grew to $1 billion. And I believe was the youngest female billionaire in the world, maybe still is. And she, if you are not studying Sarah Blakely and you're listening to this call, please study Sarah Blakely's story. Read everything you can. I mean, this is a woman who has, I think she has 4 kids now, and
Yeah.
still runs a business and does amazing things. And, you know, she's wonderful. She's authentic. She is wonderfully authentic on Instagram, you know, looking awkward, eating alone in restaurants, really hilarious stuff. And, you know, lives by that. And we can all learn a lot from her because she did build a business exactly the way pretty much everybody listening should build theirs.
Yeah, I agree. She's definitely someone to watch. Give us a little bit of insight into Craig's life right now. What are you currently working on, and what are your next steps for yourself?
Well, right now you know, what we want to do is we want to build. So I think people might be familiar with like Tony Robbins coaching. We want to build the world's best small business coaching program that is not personal development stuff. I'm a little bit too brass tacks for personal development stuff. I believe it's important, but it's not where we focus. We focus on strategies and tactics to help people grow small businesses. And by small businesses, I mean pretty much anything up to about $25 million, from $100,000 a year to $25 million per year. And we cover all of this stuff, whether it's social media, whether it's um, email marketing, whether it is leadership. And that's where it really comes down to is leadership. We don't teach people how to do Facebook ads and stuff like that, but we have a little bit of training on that, but then we help people coach their teams to do the rest of it. And so in my business, I'm focused on bringing people into that world through all these different methods of lead generation, from my books to my podcast to LinkedIn. We have like the octopus tentacles out in every area. And then I'm focused on bringing in coaches. So I want to build up a huge team of coaches because I love giving entrepreneurs the opportunity to have one-on-one coaching. I get the whole group thing, but I think one-on-one coaching will accelerate people's results. It's 100% guaranteed. It's like group therapy versus one-on-one therapy. You're definitely going to get results faster. So I do have some group training, but I really, really want to have tons and tons of coaches following my systems, bringing those systems down to people, and so on and so forth. So that's what we're focused on now. Just absolutely love it. And, you know, the opportunity to speak with you, Vanessa, in your world is just a great opportunity for me to share my message about getting stuff done and focusing on what matters.
Yeah, thank you. I think I love your approach because you're so direct, but you can see how he's direct in a not aggressive way. And I really think it's important for people to see that, especially women, because when I'm talking to women, even within the community, they get really nervous about being direct and doing the ask and going out to sales. And why I wanted to bring you on is so that people can see another way, and knowing that you can go out there, you can ask, and you don't have to be scared to do it, and you can still be of service while making the ask, making sales, and making millions. So
Yeah,
thank you so much. Yeah.
yeah, I love the word blunt. I mean, just be
Yeah.
blunt, because if you know, so we go back to the person who's posting a latte on their Instagram. Well, here's the thing. If I like your message that goes with the latte, I still don't know what the heck you do. And so you're like, man, I got 473 likes on this post today, but nobody asked me about, you know, the jewelry that I sell. Well, how would I even know you sell jewelry? So people are too oblique in their social media and all the stuff they do. And it's like, you know, you should be able to figure this. Like, I can't figure this out. I'm following 1,500 people, and, you know, 800 of them posted latte art today. So how am I going to know what you do? So we are very blunt in some of our posts. You have to be very blunt about what you do. Sarah Blakely going into a department store trying to sell Spanx is a very blunt way of doing things, and it works. So a little encouragement just to try and be a little more blunt in your own way.
Totally. You can go check out Craig's Instagram. You can see what he does. He makes an offer every day in his stories and a call to action. He is very clear about what he does. And then even in his feed, he often makes offers, and you'll
Twice a
see his
week.
blunt posts there. Yeah, twice a week. I've been doing them since working with Craig, and I'm a testament to them working. Every time people want to know what you do, they want to work with you, and they want to have a reason to reach out. So you have to give them that call to action to reach out with you and actually work with you if you want to be making the difference and creating that movement you want in the world. So thank you, Craig. Go check him out. Where else can people find you? if they want to either come to one of your workshops, your podcasts, your Instagram?
The best thing is go to Real Craig Ballantyne on Instagram. So Real Craig Ballantyne. You can email me at craig@godfather.com, and you can get my new book at perfectweekformula.com. It'll help you make more time for what matters and get more done and live the life of your dreams.
Awesome. And if you're an entrepreneur and you want to work with him or attend one of his workshops, he does do workshops all over Canada and the US. And so you can go check them out as well. Thank you so much for making this time, Craig, to share your message. And thank you for being of service to me. And because you helping me allows me to continue to help other people. So I really appreciate that. And thank you for helping so many entrepreneurs because you're truly changing the world.
Thank you so much, Vanessa.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye. Thanks for listening. I hope you take Craig's tips and just implement at least one of them today. Go out there, be blunt, and make an offer. You got this.